welcome to the podcast. Oh, so
Welcome to the
exciting. Aren't you
pod.
excited?
Oh, I'm so
I know.
excited.
It's time. I'm super excited.
The only thing that would make it
So,
better is
well,
if we could see our students right now too.
I know. They're going to have to we should do a picture contest, like send us pictures of you watching the podcast.
Haha,
The coolest
cool.
picture wins or something.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Then we can at least see what's going on. So, well, I feel pretty excited doing our first one of these. I just kind of knew that we were going to go into this year, and me and Miss Henson talked about what's a way that we can connect with students and give you guys some helpful information, not only from the counseling department, but maybe some helpful tips about getting through this year. What about you, Miss Henson? What are you excited about the podcast for?
I'm just excited to be able to have time with students. And so I see this as just an opportunity for us to spend time with students. And so hopefully we're coming up with content that is useful for you guys. And honestly, I'm looking forward to finding ways that we can have students join us on the podcast and give us input on what things they want to hear and what they want to see. And maybe even be guest stars with us here.
That would be cool. I can think of a couple of students. I don't want to say their names. That would make interesting podcast interviews. That's a good point. But we will try to interview interesting people, people that are knowledgeable about everything from teen mental wellness to drug and alcohol issues to living at home in stressful situations, but also about resources, college and career stuff, things about being successful in school, and maybe even like interesting careers that you might want to pursue in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm also hoping that
today,
we'll make sure that we get you guys information about stuff that's happening at school, different updates that we have, and then different resources that might come up at Alderwood specifically for you guys. So
absolutely.
Listen up.
And today we're pretty excited to interview for our first interviewee, our very own Mr. Brian Stewart, who's our principal. So
Yeah, have you ever heard of him?
Secret. I heard of him. He signs my paycheck. So we're going to interview Mr. Stewart to find all the helpful tips about being successful at MS, because he's the captain. So if someone's going to know, he's going to know. And then also something that we want to do as just a reoccurring theme is have our awesome librarian, Miss Stacy Wright, joining us on a regular basis to give us some information about some books that are out there that are helpful for students. So let's go ahead and welcome Miss Wright. Miss Wright.
Miss
Thank you for
Wright.
coming.
Hello, Mustangs. I am Mrs. Wright, your school librarian. And even though you are having to learn at home right now, the Alderwood Middle School Library is open. And
That's great.
yeah,
Hooray.
there are a couple ways to get books these days. You can visit Sora, which is our great collection of audio and ebooks. And a link for that is in the comments of this podcast. We also are offering curbside pickups. So any book we have in the library, you can put on hold. And the link to our library catalog is also in the comments. And once you put a book on hold, I would be happy to pull it for you, label it, and let you know when it will be ready for drive-by pickup. Okay. So if it's okay with you all, I would like to talk about a book that I think is really appropriate for the beginning of the school year.
I'm so curious.
Oh, yes. So no doubt the beginning of the school year is really confusing for everybody. Especially if you're a 7th grader, you have not done 6 classes before, but for everybody, learning online is a huge change. And for me, something that I like to do when I have a problem or if I need an answer to a question, I read. I also read when I need to escape from just how crazy the world is. And I found a book that kind of, I don't know, it addresses both things. It's a good way to think about our problems, but it's also a really good escape. And it's really, really funny. And I think we all need funny books right now. The book I have is called Marcus Vega Doesn't Speak Spanish by Pablo Cartaya. And this book is about Marcus Vega, and he is a big guy. He's an eighth grader. He's 180 pounds. He is just starting to get his mustache. He is 6 feet tall, which is pretty tall for a middle schooler. And he's a really sweet guy, but he gets into a fight at school. And his mom is, you know what? I think you need a change of scenery. You know, we need to do something about this. You're I'm not happy with you getting in a fight. I'm not happy with some of the choices you're making. And so he sends Marcus and his brother to Puerto Rico to visit family. And Marcus Vega does not speak Spanish. So when he gets there, he gets into a lot of adventures, but he also really feels like an outsider. He's living with family he doesn't know very well, in a country he doesn't know. You know, Puerto Rico is a US territory, but people speak Spanish there. And he's also, you know, he doesn't know the language. So it's a little bit like how some of us feel right now. You know, we feel a little bit like, I don't really know what's happening. You know, I have to do these things, but, you know, I don't have all the tools I need right now to do that. So anyway, it's a wonderful book. And I put the name and the author, Pablo Cartaya, in the comments. It's great. It's on Sora. It is in the library. I have lots of copies of it. One of Pablo Cartaya's other books is an AMS favorite. It's called The Epic Fail of Arturo Zamora, and Alderwood students love this book. So you cannot go wrong with Pablo Cartaya. And any book needs you have, you know, feel free to contact me. The library at Alderwood Middle School is open.
Miss Wright, I want to read that one. Thank you.
You're welcome. It is really funny. And like I said, funny books are a little bit hard to find, you know?
Yeah.
So it's perfect for the beginning of the year. It's perfect for an Alderwood Middle School student.
And Miss Wright, I know last year that we'd had that book group with students and staff members and stuff. Do you know if maybe that might happen again this year?
We're looking
Sorry
at
to put you on the spot.
We're also going to start Battle of the Books, where I know a lot of elementary students have heard about Battle of the Books, where you read, you know, 6 or 7 books. In middle school, our books are a little bit longer than elementary, so we read fewer books. And then we compete against other schools. And we're working on how we can do that if we need to do it online. But anyway, so we're going to have some really cool opportunities for students who want to get more involved in book groups and connect with other readers. So yeah, that's a great question. So stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Well, I'm a reader and I really like reading books. And I haven't, I've been kind of on hiatus for a little bit, but that one sounds like it might be the perfect one, because just things have felt heavy. And when things feel heavy, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to like engage in so like I was mid-book and just couldn't do it. The book was too heavy, but that sounds like a really great next book of something light and fun and funny, but also like it sounds like it has some good feelings, good thoughts and themes in there too.
Yeah, and I like that it's in a couple different formats. It's audio, you can read it as an ebook, or, you know, some of us still like the paper copies. So, you know, however you enjoy your books, Alderwood Middle School Library, we've got what you want.
That's awesome. Thank you, Miss Wright.
Thank you, and happy reading, Mustangs.
Hey, let me say something, Miss Wright. You know, one of the things that we're losing out right now with being in lockdown and not being able to come to school is I think a lot of students learn about what books they should read or what's interesting by seeing other students read. and by coming to the library, and you do awesome displays so they can see different books. So thank you for being a part of this and helping students kind of get an idea of what's out there and what other students like and what they should be checking out.
Yeah, and I'm working with your English teachers, your history teachers, your advisory teachers. So we're talking about books every chance we get, because I just think it's, in these times, it is a great way to make ourselves feel better.
I think you're right.
Cool.
All right, thanks.
You are Miss
Thank
Right.
you. Yeah.
Bye. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Bye,
All
Miss
right. See you
Wright.
later. Thanks for chiming in. Well, we're going to go ahead and move to our next segment here, and we're going to invite our first guest ever on the Counseling Podcast, soon to get another name, Mr. Stewart. So let me admit him from the waiting room. So first off, we have a really serious question to ask you. Everyone's dying to know. It's a really big deal. We have it on good authority that one time you were in middle school and that you made it through middle school. And we're just curious, like, can you think middle school can be one of the most embarrassing times of our lives? And we're curious if you have any embarrassing memories from middle school.
Yeah, oh yeah. My embarrassing, yeah, I mean, being in middle school kind of made me want to help out others who are in middle school. And that's why I've done middle school for the last, 19 years, I want to say. I think it has been now. So, but I think the one that comes to mind as far as embarrassing is I will generalize, and as a middle school boy, we were very handsy with each other and like to smack each other around a little bit. And it got to the point where we would kind of hit each other and run away, that type of childish middle school fun. But it got to the point where I got hit so hard in the back that you could see a handprint on the back of my neck, and I was teased for that for a little while. So that made me stop being a part of that. It was my good friend that did it, and a lot of times that we see in middle school, a lot of times it's things that good friends do to each other, but it's still not appropriate. So I think that was pretty embarrassing. That sticks to me to this very day, as far as being smacked on the back of the neck. It's never any fun. But
Up to the mark today.
I made it into a tattoo on the back of my neck. Gotta check it out.
It's like a turkey that you made it into.
Yeah. But
I feel like that's so middle school, is like figuring out like what boundaries are. Like you're just like playing and fun, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I didn't mean to.
Right. It happens so quickly that it just jumps out of hand, and kids, that's why I'm always saying, hey, don't play around, because it can lead to bigger things. So there you go.
Like neck tattoos.
Like neck tattoos, yes.
Well, that is pretty embarrassing, I will say. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. If we were your counselors, we totally would have helped you, though. I'm just like,
yeah, definitely.
So that's embarrassing, but what about triumph? Like, I just see a lot of middle schoolers go through really tough times, and they're learning to become young adults, and things are difficult, but then they triumph in something like sports or academics or social or school leadership. Like, what was some triumphant memories for you in middle school?
Yeah, I think two that jump out to mind. One was I was really involved in basketball in middle school, and our gym would open up during a lunch, excuse me. And I don't know how that ever happened. We would never be able to do that here. I would love to, but we had no classes during lunch in the gym. And so we ran basketball games in the gym during lunch, and we would have competitions. And it would be 5-on-5, and we'd do full court. And a lot of the school would watch. And we came from a pretty big middle school. And we were kind of the underdog. We weren't the most athletic team, but we worked well together, and we ended up taking the 8th grade championship for our school out of 10 teams, and it was in front of the whole school, and that was pretty cool to be a part of that. And so from an athletic perspective, I'm really competitive, and so that really sticks in my mind of kind of rising above and working hard to do that. But then I was also on the math team at middle school, and in those days you couldn't. I sound old in those days, but you didn't travel around like to other schools to compete like we do here, where we go to Mukilteo and Shoreline and all those places. So it was a big deal because we got to travel to the Math Olympiad and represent our middle school and compete against the other middle schools. And so it was kind of a big honor because we were representing the school, and unfortunately we didn't come out on top with the victory, but just the experience alone was you felt triumphant because you were representing the middle school in a positive way and having fun at the same time.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Wait a second. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying, because I'm a little confused. You're saying you were good at sports and math at the same time?
Yes, I was what you would call a student athlete. Yes,
Wow.
I was both. Yes, absolutely. And you can do both, 100%.
I totally agree. Having coached sports before, I just think hard work ethic applies to being successful and dominant in sports, but it also applies to being successful and dominant in the classroom and the curriculum that you're learning.
Absolutely. No, you can succeed in both places, and both places, just takes practice and hard work. And, it sounds corny, but success and hard work and practice will lead to success. So that's definitely, the recipe for succeeding.
That's awesome.
I watched that Michael Jordan documentary that came out, and it's kind of interesting, like what you're saying. Everybody looks at hard work and it's all talent or something you naturally have or don't have, but that's really not what successful athletes would say. They'd say he's the first one in the gym, he's the one that's practicing hard, he's focused, he's learning about other players. So that hard work and dedication, applies to so many aspects of our life. But
yeah,
I am going to point
absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
No, absolutely. And I think, this whole, kind of left brain, right brain, that we hear a lot of times, or I can't do math, or I can't do this. It's, we can overcome that by making sure that we are, practicing, and that repetition and that dedication, can lead down a lot of positive paths for people if we just believe in ourselves and keep at it.
Totally.
All right. Well, we have some questions we wanted to ask, and Ms. Henson, butt in with any questions you have too. This is very fascinating. But one thing I want to point out is that Mr. Stewart is very accomplished in a lot of different areas, but it's almost like his math skills are somewhat supernatural. Like he's an X-Men, and he has the ability to do math problems, because we'll come by and we'll be like, oh man, what's 376 times 5?
Do it now. Go.
Go ahead.
376 times 5.
Yeah.
That's 1,880.
Oh my gosh. So
He's
stuff
probably
like that.
right.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's right. There's no doubt. And if the calculator says
Phil,
something
get on
different,
it.
it's wrong. Yeah. Phil, the intern, can you look that up? He gives thumbs up. Good job, Mr.
Boom.
Stewart.
Got it.
Yeah. But also like statistics and like percentages, you'd be like, oh, that,
It's
it's
true.
36.7. So we're good. Kind of thing.
It's true.
And it doesn't just happen overnight, but it takes hard work for sure. But what advice would you give for someone to become successful at math? I know I just hear a lot of times students saying, oh, that's just not what I'm good at, and I can't get better. Maybe I'll pass. But what would you recommend to a student who's struggling with math and wants to improve?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it helps to know yourself as a learner, and I know it can be hard for middle school to know yourself as a learner, and so I think that's our job as professionals to help students with that. But I think if you know yourself as a learner, you know that sometimes in math, there are a lot of different ways you can work on a problem to get the right answer. But a lot of times those ways, if you hear something three or four different ways, it gets more and more confusing because you might be a person that says, just tell me one way to do it and I can do it and I will practice it and get better at it. And so some people need the one way to do it and that's all they want to focus on, but some people like to see it from different angles and see how it works and be explained it three or four different ways to understand it. And I think that's really key in learning math, is understanding who you are as a learner, how you're going to benefit from that. And then also our job as teachers and professionals to make sure that we can cater to different learning styles as well. So I think that's super important for math. But and then to the basics of um, memorizing your 12 multiplication facts all the way up 12 by 12. But even if you want to challenge yourself, 20 by 20. The more you are fluent in multiplication and division in your head, I feel like that's like push-ups for your brain, right? Like it's kind of doing those basics. It can still give you strength. You don't have to do anything, like memorizing algebra tables and things like that, or algebra formulas, which does help. But I think if you just start at the basics of making sure that really multiplying and dividing and being able to manipulate numbers like that in your head, I think can really help expand the mind when it comes to math.
That's cool. That I feel like I could probably practice my math skills and it probably would still help me today as an adult that does not do a lot of math. It seems
Yeah,
like it's
well,
like
Yeah,
good
what
like
do you
problem solving skills and like just like you said, like mental push-ups.
yeah. So much of math is reading also, and so it's important to be a reader and understand what they're asking you. But when it comes down to it, if you're spending a long time doing, if you're working on a problem, it takes you a long time to do some of the some of the multiplication or whatever operation in that problem, you can get more and more frustrated. And so I think if you can continue just that everyday practice, um, I think you'll see rewards from that very soon.
That brings up a good point, Miss Henson. What would you say to students who kind of start to struggle around middle school and saying, hey, like I know like I would need the math that I needed in elementary school, but now like algebra, like I'm not gonna make planes for Boeing, and I'm not gonna need geometry to figure out the square footage of a room because I'm gonna, spray it with paint or something. Like what would you say to students who are really struggling with seeing the motivation behind learning complex mathematics? Because I know there are brain reasons to do it. Uh-oh, we might have lost him. I don't think we stumped him.
You didn't stump me, but can you repeat the end of the question? My audio went out, so I apologize.
Oh, it's okay. Actually, it might be my audio, so don't even worry about it. What would you say to students who are struggling with the motivation for why complex mathematics apply to them in their future jobs?
Like,
I think,
the age-old question of like, why am I even learning this stuff?
yeah, right. Um, I always told my students, because I did teach math for 7 years and before I came into administration, and I always told my students, I talked about the mental gymnastics, and I talked about also, the way your brain gets sharper is by working on math and solving problems. If you don't have that experience in really challenging your brain isn't going to grow. Let's say, they're not if you want to get technical, the synapses aren't going to connect. And so you got to make sure that you're just really challenging your brain. And so that's what I get as the biggest benefit from math is, people don't feel like you can use it, but really, in some professions, obviously, but at the very least, It's going to help sharpen your skills, your focus, your the way in which your brain can respond to things. I feel like it's put into shape by doing mathematics. So whether it's algebra or geometry or trigonometry or whatever the case may be, I think it's just great to challenge yourself and really try to expand the mind and keep working at it.
That's great. Yeah, you know, it kind of reminds me of you know, going back to the athletic reference again, but coaching football, some students, they don't want to go to summer camp. They don't want to go to summer football camp. They don't want to put in the hard work and effort. They just want to join when season starts. But all it does is going to make you stronger. It's going to improve your thinking about what you're doing and make your brain sharper, like you mentioned. And there's so many cognitive benefits to applying yourself and learning mathematics that some students skip over, and it's really unfortunate that they miss that opportunity, especially at this age and where they are developmentally with their brain, and how much it will help them across a multitude of aspects in their life to have that, you know, neural flexibility and the to take abstract concepts and make them concrete and to apply them to other concepts as well. It's a really important things for students at this age, for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, I have a joke with my friends that I always am like, I don't do math, like, no. And, and I've said that for a really long time. And I eventually kind of figured out, I think that it all comes back to when I was in 3rd grade and we were learning multiplication, and my teacher called me up to the overhead projector that was shining in the front of the class to do a math problem. And I just got stuck. Like, I was just so nervous. And I couldn't figure out the question. And so she just left me standing up there in front of the whole class. And I was so embarrassed. And so then after that, every time I would try to do math, I'd just get so stressed and overwhelmed and just be like, I can't do it. And I actually think that I actually was kind of good at math. And I actually think that I probably could still do math and actually am like fine with it. But the like stress that gets in the way kept me from like actually exploring that and whether I could really have learned more and done some cool things with it. So my other thing is, I think that sometimes we kind of get in our own head of like, you know, math isn't my subject, but just because, you know, we get nervous or we have this like assumption or we have this belief about ourselves or about who we are, how we fit in the world. And we never know, like maybe approaching math or any other subject that you don't feel sure about with this open mindset of like, I could learn this and I could be really successful with it. It might not be my favorite thing. It might not be something that I want to do forever, but what's the harm in trying to learn new things and grow really? So my advice to all you 7th and 8th graders is to give yourself a shot and really like try it out and try to take off some of those beliefs that you have about yourself and just kind of put yourself out there.
Yeah, no, that's great. I totally agree. And just really quick before we move on from math, everybody's, is this a math podcast? It's very important. It totally is a math podcast right now. But I have a friend who used to do math tutoring at the college level. And she told me, she said, mainly what I do with most people are just 2 things. Number 1 is build their confidence. They come, just like Ms. Henson said, with low confidence. I can't do that. My mom wasn't good at math either, and it's genetic. And I'm not a math person. So it's like pumping them up, like, you can do this. I've worked with students who are not even half as smart as you. If they can do it, you can do it. So really just boosting their confidence is, you have to believe you can do it. Otherwise you won't even try, right? And then the second thing is, she said, YouTube. She shows them, because that's one thing me and Mr. Stewart didn't have until after we graduated college, at least, was YouTube. So we couldn't go see examples, like Mr. Stewart was saying, of seeing multiple ways to do a problem. So we didn't have a resource to go to. And there's more things than just YouTube, but that's just one example of how you have to have the mental confidence that you can do it. And then secondly, you have to have the resources and know where to go to get help and support when you get stuck on a problem. And luckily we have wonderful math teachers at AMS, some of the best math teachers I've ever met in my life, that you can get help from. And even our principal can probably give you a tip or two around here. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's do some algebra. But yeah,
Do it.
I'm going to give a plug to Khan Academy. Khan Academy will measure where you're at mathematically, and then you can work on any skills you want from kindergarten through college, you know. And so I think that's if you haven't seen that as a site, I've totally plugged that because we didn't have that back in my day, and but you young
Mhm, mhm.
whippersnappers have Khan Academy, so use it. It's great for support, and it gives you how-to videos on any topic you can think about.
Maybe I should try that.
We
For
only
sure.
we only have the Wrath of Khan. So when you said
Yeah.
Star Trek,
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Um, so we have you for a few more minutes here, but what's some general advice? So aside from math, if you've seen students that have come in and be successful, you've seen students that have come in and struggled and turned it around and got help, what would be your overall advice for any class, any student to be successful at AMS? What's some of the top advice you give them for success?
I think organization is really super important, and learning, again, I think knowing yourself as a person. You know, it's like, what do you respond to? Do you respond to making a list to help yourself organize, or do you have to do a nice visual? Do you write stuff down? Do you type it in? I think trying to find your way that you can stay organized is super important. Because now, if you're coming in as a seventh grader, or even obviously eighth graders need this too, but you're adjusting to 6 classes and in some cases 7 if you have 0 period, right? So how do you manage all of that? And so that takes that takes you to figure out, in working with teachers, of course, and working with family and friends for that matter, to work on how can you help each other stay organized and get to things right away. Make a list and prioritize, like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do first, here's what I need to do second. Because if we always depend on our brain, which is, our brain is a wonderful tool to use, but you know what, the memory a lot of times can give out on us even as young kids. And if we try to remember everything in our brain of what we need to do, it's not going to happen. And we also get overwhelmed easily because the brain can only hold so much information, and especially like where you have to remember certain tasks in order. So write stuff down, give yourself that opportunity for that list that you can refer back to, and just give yourself some of that structure that I think can really benefit from. And I think that's our task here at AMS, is to, is how can you use Canvas as a great tool for organization, but also how can you use the calendar, or how can you use, any type of list making, or Google Keep, so that, anyway, it's just trying to find ways to stay organized.
I wonder if that could be a good little segment here, is just some little tips on organization. I think that there's lots of little, most of the things that I do, I feel like, to stay organized, I picked up from other people. I wonder if we could share some tips.
Absolutely. I think that's why I included like friends. A lot of times my
Mm-hmm.
friends help keep me accountable too. Nowadays, you can text, or obviously FaceTime, or whatever, where you can remind, you can have alarms on your phone even too, or you can use your phone in a lot of different ways to stay organized. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to utilize friends, or to think of ways to be organized.
Also, if anyone didn't know, Brian Stewart is also a robot sometimes.
Your voice was cutting out, and his math skills. I think he might be a pilot for the Neuralink thing from Elon Musk. He's got the first
Oh
prototype
gosh.
or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so a couple more questions, Mr. Stewart, before we need to move on. Couple questions people were wanting to know about. Why did you want to go into education in the first place? And then, wanting to go into education, you also made the jump to educational leadership. And how did that happen? Did you go into wanting to work in education always knowing you wanted to do educational leadership? Or what was that process like, making that career change?
Yeah, so I was first interested in being like a psychologist, or being a counselor, actually. But I'm as you've probably can tell through this podcast, I'm really interested in how the brain works. And so that drove me to learn more psychology. And I think a lot of education and how kids and people learn in general is about understanding your brain and understanding yourself as a learner. And I think I wanted to put that into practice as a teacher, and specifically a math teacher. And so I wanted students that didn't believe in themselves to believe in themselves. And I also wanted, to make sure that, students saw the importance of math or trying to solve problems and work together. So much of math a lot of times is teamwork too. I just wanted to be able to, the biggest thing was just to be able to serve others. And I had a lot of great teachers in middle school, and I guess, to put it simply, I just wanted to pay it forward. I wanted to make sure that people had the same type of experiences that I had in middle school with some great individuals helping them, and thought, man, that'd be cool to do as well. And so it was one of, it's one of our hardest times in our life is middle school, because you're really trying to figure out who you are and what your path is going to be. And I think you need caring adults to help you along the way. And I think that's ultimately why I got into this. And then I wanted to make greater change. So I'm like, well, let's go up to let's kind of go bigger. And so it's like, okay, well, let's lead a school and let's see what we can do with that. And so here I am, I don't know, what is it now, 12 years later, I guess, at EMS.
Well, I've heard leading a school is really easy and it's not stressful, and you get to get off at the same time every day. But I'm totally kidding. Leading a school is one of the hardest things you could ever do. What are some of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn in regards to leadership after becoming a principal?
Yeah, I think people can't read or hear what's in your head or what your intentions were or what you were planning to do. It's all about action, and it's all about communication. And I think that's what I'm learning every single day, is that through your actions and through your communication is how people know who you are and know what you stand for. And you could have the best intentions, or you could have a lot of great plans in your head of what can work. But until you work with others to make those come to fruition, you're not going to have much. And so I think it's important to collaborate and communicate, so that you can do great things. And I think that took me a little while to understand, and still, obviously still learning that. Each day is a great learning experience. And so, but I think, yeah, it's really about the action, and how you can demonstrate and model that for others too is super important.
That's wisdom right there.
Yeah,
I see a lot
no
of young
kidding.
people getting into trouble with that too, like with all the communication they do on social media. Like you think, oh, I'm saying this, but you can't hear tone of voice, you can't hear what's going on in their head. It can be offensive, but one day we'll have Neuralink young people, and then we'll just automatically know what's in their head. That's a great point. All right. Any other questions before we go? All right. Well, we're gonna transition. Thank you, Mr. Stewart, being our first awesome guest. We're gonna transition and go through the counseling PowerPoint with Phil, the intern. You're welcome to stay on and go through the PowerPoint with us if you want. We're sure you got really important principal things to do, so no pressure. You can stay or log off whenever you want.
As much as I enjoy everybody's company, and you guys have all been great hosts, I'm going to sign off and wish everybody a great rest of your day.
What was the mascot of your middle school?
Oh, I'm still here. Sorry, what was the question?
What was the mascot of your middle school?
We were originally the Pioneers, but then we changed it to the Dolphins.
Oh,
cool.
What did you? Well, if you went to RB, did you go to Washington Middle School? Where'd you go? Meany?
I was a Denny Pioneer.
Oh, okay.
It's in Southwest Seattle.
All right. Well, if anybody has a yearbook out there, send us some pictures, please.
Mr. Stewart needs to get
All
his
right.
yearbook out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
for
All
sure.
right.
Will
Thank
do.
you, Mr. Stewart.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
Mr. Stewart.
everybody. Yep.
Peace out. All right. Well, that was great. I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that I realized that Mr. Stewart played basketball. Like I knew he played
Yes.
baseball.
I
Right?
don't know if he played for the. It sounded like he played for the team, but I can't.
I know.
I keep forgetting to ask if he actually played for the team. But
We'll need to have
He
him back
probably
on the pod.
we'll have to have a follow-up. We'll have to do a yearly Stewart visit. So we're going to go through a PowerPoint right now that is some helpful information. I'm going to share my screen. And Ms. Henson, maybe, I can switch off to you, but this is just some
Sure.
information we want you guys to have about being successful AMS from the counseling standpoint here. So without further ado, let me share my screen. And Phil, we're going to introduce you here in a little bit. So, all right, can you guys all see my screen here?
Yeah,
The PowerPoint? Great.
excellent.
Okay. So looking at this, oh
It's wrong.
no, I'm so sorry. Big mistake. I am the 8th grade counselor, Miss Henson. I changed everything but that. We'll just.
It's
go
all
with
good.
this, okay.
Yeah.
Also, I don't have a good picture for Miss Luce yet. So this is correct.
Yeah,
So
there we go.
I'm on the far left, Mr. Webb. I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and swim for a workout. It's a great combination there, but if anybody doesn't know, Jiu-Jitsu is ground grappling. It's really awesome. If you train Jiu-Jitsu, send me an email because I'd be really curious to talk about it with you. Miss Henson, do you mind explaining what those things around your neck is and what your hobby is here?
Yes, I'm Miss Henson. I'm the 7th grade counselor, and in my picture there, I have my binoculars around my neck because I am very curious about birds, and so I like can hardly call myself a birder, which is someone that like bird watches, but I have an app on my phone, and I like to try and identify birds when I find them in the wild. So and track which ones I've found. Birds are cool.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I think that Miss Henson even talked about doing a bird watching club or hosting one if anybody wanted to do it.
Dude, we
I'd
could
love
do
to
that
host a
socially
jiu-jitsu
distant.
club. Yeah, for sure. Send pictures of birds too.
Yeah.
I've wanted to do a jiu-jitsu club, but I haven't gotten clearance from the district yet for some odd reason.
Yeah, about that.
Also, I'm so sorry. I need to get a better picture of Miss Luce. We'll update this, but we do have a counselor here with us part-time named Miss Luce. I used to work with Miss Luce at Edmonds Woodway. She's really awesome. She's going to be working with a small select group of students at AMS, but we do have some extra counseling support this year. And I actually want to bring in one of them right now. We have an amazing intern. His name is Phil Magnanet. And Phil is from Linwood High School. He works there, and he's going to be a school counselor very soon. And he's going to study with us and intern with us and learn about awesome counseling at Alderwood Middle School. So, Phil, why don't you take a second to introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. I do also want to say, Ms. Henson, I don't know if birds are real. I've been doing some research, and they might be robots from the government just spying on us. So
All of them?
Potentially. I don't know. I need to do some more research on this. But
Okay.
Phil's also a flat earther, but
yeah, yeah. Got a lot of strange thoughts in my head. No, I'm super excited to be here. Like Mr. Webb said, I've been at Linwood High School for the past few years working there. I coached tennis there for about 5 years. I'm super excited to be at Alderwood this year learning just about school counseling and learn from Mr. Webb and Ms. Henson and getting to know the students and the staff at Alderwood. And it's going to be a great year. So thanks for having me on, guys.
great. Welcome, Phil.
Wait, what's one of your hobbies?
Oh, just one of them. I've been really into pickleball recently. Yeah, pickleball has been my jam. Although I will say it hasn't been the kindest to me. I hurt myself. I hurt my neck about a month ago playing pickleball, which sounds just the worst.
Like
It was,
pickleball whiplash.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was in a neck brace for about a week.
Oh
Couldn't move
no,
my neck around.
that's
But I
serious.
love pickleball. I love racket sports. Like I said, I coached tennis at Linwood High School for about 5 years. Pickleball has been a lot of fun, ping pong. So anything with a racket, something that I really enjoy.
Cool.
I think any sport with a food in its name is probably pretty fun.
Yeah,
Except maybe squash.
I like squash.
I don't know. I haven't played. Yeah, okay.
Isn't
All
it?
right.
It's like another racket
I
sport,
stand
isn't it?
corrected. Yeah, for sure.
I think so.
Squash is
I just think
delicious.
when I think of squash, I think of Jim playing Robert California in
Oh
squash.
yeah.
Oh, yes. That's a
The
great
Office.
reference.
We're gonna make a lot of office references on here, kids. So your parents are watching this and they don't want you to hear office references. We'll try to be careful. But yeah, so we have Phil. We also have another intern, Jessica, who will be joining us, and expect to see Phil and Jessica a regular part of the podcast for sure. So let me get through some more staff we have here. Oops, I have to click over. So here we go, Mr. Stewart. Oh, hey, he left
know
out
him.
that he was a bowling champ. I totally forgot that.
Yeah, he bowls.
But yeah, it's probably math. It's probably math related to that. I guess geometry, like angles and spin,
Yeah,
or that's
Physics,
Either
but
way,
that's math
he's
too.
dominant. And then Mr. Friedel, totally.
Mhm.
So Mr. Friedel, these are our principals. One thing I wanted to mention that we didn't have time to talk to Mr. Stewart about was what are some reasons that a student should contact a principal and to get help with. And I think they would pretty much say anything. Like if you have a general question, they will either help you or they will forward it to us.
Mhm.
A lot of times they're very helpful if you're having any issues with being bothered by another student or really like feeling like you're experiencing some bullying. I mean, we can help with that. There's a lot, every staff can help with that, but they're really good at that specifically, but they also help with just a multitude of other things. So you guys think of anything that students should reach out to the principal for?
Well, I'll just say, look at their smiles. They're such nice guys. I mean, who wouldn't want to, get in contact with those two? They're awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think if there's any concerns that you have about something that's getting in the way of you being successful in school, so if it's, stuff that's happening in a classroom, stuff that's happening with a peer, stuff that's happening outside of school, like their goal is to make Alderwood a place where students can do the best that they can. So if there's stuff that's getting in the way, then reach out to them because they want to make sure that our school is doing well. And like Mr. Webb said, if they're not the right people to help you with something, they can definitely show you where to go.
Excellent. Okay, let's get it through some more. We don't have pictures yet. We will get pictures for these, but we have Miss Beal, our counseling registrar. She is new to us this year, and Miss Moltz too. Actually, it's with a Z, who's
Yeah.
our office manager. They're super helpful. They're new this year, which is why I don't have pictures. But a regular, smiling, super helpful, super awesome face is Miss Boston, attendance and athletics. So if you've had to call the school for help the past couple weeks, it's probably one of these wonderful women that have helped you with whatever you were struggling with. So they've been doing an excellent job.
Also, I would say, so attendance is kind of a weird thing, right, with remote learning. And so just so you guys know, and we can go into this a little bit later too, but you have to check Canvas every day. Okay, so make sure you're checking Canvas every day to be counted that you're engaged in school. And then there's also a difference between being engaged and then actually being present in your class. So engaged is like you're answering emails or you're checking Canvas and stuff. And then actually present in class means that you're showing up to your Zoom meetings and like doing your work and that kind of stuff. So just know that when you're about your attendance and everything. But also if you're like, reality is there's going to be days where you might not be able to do school, like whether it's because you're sick or you have you're on a trip or something like that, something's getting in the way of you doing your schoolwork that day. It's still important that you reach out to Miss Boston and let her know because she's the one that's tracking everyone's attendance. So just like when we're normally in school, you like you're grown up at home, we'll call Miss Boston and let her know that that you're sick or whatever's going on, someone still needs to call if you're sick.
Totally. Yeah. And look at that nice face. She's not going to
She's
yell
so
at
friendly.
you. Yeah. Why?
She's so
why
kind.
weren't you logged on? I can't believe you weren't logged on. Like, she's not going to do that.
She's so kind.
All right. Some more staff. Here we go. Miss Hagan here at the top. She is our awesome student intervention coordinator. She does some of the work that we were talking about dealing with drama and bullying. And we know that, you're not in school. It's maybe maybe it's less likely that you're going to be experiencing that type of drama issues, but sometimes it can happen online and social media, and we still want to support you. Even though that's not technically on school campus, it could affect your learning, and we want to be here. So Miss Hagan's very, very, very good at that. She's actually like way overqualified for her job. She's like one of those people. So we're very lucky to have her with us, because the type of work she's done in the past have been really intensive work with students. Then we also have Miss Foss, student support advocate. She's extremely helpful in helping students with resources. You might have emergencies that get in the way of your school, such as not knowing where you're going to live, what your housing situation is, or needing healthcare, needing a doctor appointment that you can't afford or don't know how to access it, or even mental health and wellness. All sorts of resources. Miss Foss here on the far right with the glasses was super helpful with that. And then Miss Henson, do you want to explain a little bit about the yoga sessions that Miss Foss is providing?
Well, yeah. So yes, once a month, I'm trying to plan like a student staff wellness kind of event. So this month, Miss Foss is teaching a yoga class. But I was kind of thinking that every month we do some kind of like activity that is like a feel good, just positive thing that is just a fun thing to do together. And this month it's just going to be staff, but in the future I'm hoping to have it be staff and students. And so Miss Foss actually teaches yoga outside of her job here, and so she's going to teach a yoga class for our staff members. And so I'll probably ask her to do it again in the future and have it be a staff and student thing. But I'm also going to have lots of different other stuff going on. So like maybe we'll have like a writing day, maybe we'll do like a all school dance party, or so I have some different ideas. And also, if you have any great ideas for an all school event like that we can all do remotely, let me know, because I want to hear them. Yeah, but we're going to do some cool stuff.
Oh, I have one. Disney sing-along contest, or just
Wow.
Disney sing-along.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right.
Maybe like a Disney trivia too.
Yeah. Do you remember those VHS tapes they used to have where they had the sing along and then the little Mickey Mouse ears would bounce along the words?
Absolutely.
Yeah, could do that.
Let's do it. All
It's like
right.
karaoke.
And then, last but not least is Miss Tracy Gaska. She's another one. We stole her from Bellevue School District. She's incredible. One of the best college and career readiness we've ever worked with. She plans field trips to colleges, career day, does Naviance and the College Bound Scholarship. So she is available to help and support you too. We will be doing Naviance throughout the year. There are some required things. There's some helpful things for 7th grade, required things for 8th grade. And we'll be making sure that we go into different classes, or maybe through your advisory, to provide you with opportunities to be caught up in Naviance. But the real big thing is the College Bound Scholarship. Actually, I should explain it because College Bound is a college scholarship that you're only eligible for in middle school. So in other words, if you don't sign up for it in middle school, if you wait till you're in 9th grade, it's too late to sign up for it. So it's really important that you sign up for it while you're in middle school. There are some qualifications that you need to meet, but they are minimal. If you have free or reduced lunch, which almost half of our school has, you're definitely eligible for the College Bound Scholarship. And then you have to make a commitment to go to, that you want to go to college after high school. And you have to maintain a 2.0 GPA. No, wait.
Like a C average in high school. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I think it's 2.0, and not commit any felonies. So as long as you can do that, there's tens of thousands of free college money for you. And Ms. Gaskin can help you with that. All right. Let me go through a couple more here. Okay, so what do we do as counselors? Ms. Henson, do you want to explain this one?
Sure. So, school counselors, we really just work hard to work with students to help them feel successful in their life, like at school, but also outside of school, because we know you are a whole person, and we get to see and experience a part of you as students, but there's so much more to you than just you as learners and students. So we work with students to really listen, concerns that you have or issues that might come up, but really we're focused on making sure that you can set goals for yourself, and that we help support you get to those goals.
And then here's another one. What's important about connecting to the school and planning for high school and beyond?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually research that says that when students are connected to the school, whether it's a teacher, a club, groups, what's it called, sports teams, things like that, that they actually do better in school. So we want to make sure that you feel like this is your school, because it is, and we want Alderwood to reflect you. So it's important to connect to the school. Is that what you're asking?
Absolutely. No, it was great. Well said. Couldn't have said it better. Confidentiality too. When you talk with me or Miss Henson, or you might even get the chance to talk with Phil the intern, or with Jessica when she comes in.
Miss Luce.
We definitely keep confidentiality. It's very important for us to provide you with an adult that knows what we're talking about, semi knows what we're talking about. No, we know what we're talking about, and that you have the ability to talk to us and feel like we're not going to share it with anybody else. It's totally private, that you can bring, some troubles or concerns or something on your mind and talk with somebody who can help you.
And what's cool is sometimes, what's cool is sometimes there's stuff that you actually want to tell your parents, or you want to tell a friend or your teacher or whatever, and might feel a little nervous or apprehensive about saying that. And we can actually help you with that. So.
For sure. Okay. A couple more things. So when you see your counselor, when we're back in school, we actually have a sign-up sheet on a clipboard in the office. So if we are able to get back in school, easiest way to see us is to come to the main office, sign up to see us. In lieu of this, since we're all remote, Miss Henson and I are going to start sending out regular emails to all of you with our email on it. And it'll be very simple. We'll probably link the podcast there too to check out and give you resource updates. But it's very easy just to reply to us and email us. And we're happy to make appointments with you, schedule times to talk with you. Sometimes we'll do a meeting. It'll be me and Mr. Phil will come in, and we'll both talk to you together, or maybe me and Jessica, or Catherine and Jessica, or Miss Henson and Phil, or it could be any combination of us. But we're more than happy to schedule appointments with you and meet with you at a time that's convenient for you and your family. So there's that right now. And then club lists. So I've heard that we're actually going to be doing clubs this year, which is great news.
Yes.
Clubs are started by students, and there has to be one adult staff in the building who agrees to supervise that club. They'd have to create a Zoom meeting and all that kind of stuff. So we're still working out the details for specifically how that would happen. I mean, it was even down to the wire knowing what we were going to do for school this year. So we're still scrambling to figure out those types of things. I don't even say scrambling. We're moseying our way over to to deal with.
We're working on it.
Clubs. Yeah, because students have already been emailing me about clubs, and it's just thrilling to see that there's an interest, just like Ms. Henson said, to stay connected to the school. So get excited about clubs, and more information we'll be sending your way for that. And then, okay, some additional information, Naviance. As I mentioned, we already kind of talked about that, but Ms. Gasca and us will be working with you to bring you some more Naviance opportunities to complete that. It's really cool. If you're a 7th grader, you've never heard of Naviance, it's kind of like a computer program or profile that keeps a lot of assignments and work that you're doing even in 7th grade and 8th grade to prepare for which college you want to go to. And you have different fun, exciting assignments and scavenger hunts to kind of prepare you. And it saves it in this profile that follows you all the way till your 12th grade year. And it actually gives you, I think it's like 1.4 or 1.5 high school credit for completing all of Naviance.
Yeah,
So
there's
it's
actually
pretty well.
every year there's like a handful of like a big handful of students that because they finish their Naviance, they get to graduate high school. Like they wouldn't have graduated without it. So it's important to do your Naviance work. My favorite part of Naviance is that you get to do these like personality test kinds of things, and they give you some ideas of different careers that fit your personality and stuff. It's really fun. It's cool. I feel like every year the kids are like excited to get those results and then to like compare what's really funny too. Actually, maybe this isn't, but in high school, I had to do those like personality tests. And when I did it, it said that I should be a school counselor. And I was like, no. And look at me now.
What? It's like the test
Yeah.
knew. The test knew.
It knew.
Before.
So
My
there's that.
gosh. Oh my gosh, there's no escaping. Everything's preordained.
Yeah.
So that and also it just helps, I think, like Miss Sense is talking about, to have just some kind of idea about why are you working hard in school? Where is this going to go? Where can this lead you? And sometimes you'll just get ideas about careers you never even thought of.
Mm-hmm.
So please do Naviance for multiple different reasons. And then, as we mentioned, we're not only going to help you prepare for college, but we're going to help you pay for college. So the College Bound Scholarship, stay tuned for that information. Fill it out, especially if you're in 8th grade and you haven't done it yet. This is very important for you to do. And contact us if you have questions about that. And then let me see, next slide. Okay, last slide here, student surveys. So the district purchased a cool program called Panorama. And what you should be seeing, I think we did one last year already for some students, but we're going to be sending out surveys to get information from you guys about what's going well, what are some things we need to support you in, and you should be seeing Student Survey Panorama coming out here in the near future, maybe even as early as October. And it also helps us design our counseling program so that me and Ms. Henson and Phil the intern and Jessica were able to create an awesome, and Ms. Luce, we're able to create an awesome counseling program that meets your needs. So, and it's important that you tell us what you need from us. All right, let me stop share. Stop it, stop the share. All right, are we back?
Back.
We're back.
Well, guys, thank you for recording this first podcast of many. Right now, there's outro music that you can't hear, but it'll be edited in. Anything else you guys want to say before we go?
Thank you all for listening. Can't wait to meet with you.
Right.
We're excited for a fun year, and birds aren't real.